And we have a while loop here. As you can see, it says while the value of this half height variable. As you can see inside of this if statement, it actually created two other local variables, final int half height. So this is actually a constant, okay? And it actually divided the value of this height constant by 2 and then assigned that value to this half height constant. And then it did the same job for this half width here, half width assignment operator, width divided by 2, okay? And here it says if half height divided by in sample size, as you can see here, is greater than required width, and we have an AND logical operator here, half width divided by in sample size is greater than required width, then it's gonna actually multiply the value of this in sample size by 2, and then it's gonna assign that value again to this in sample size here. So this line of code is actually the same as this line of code that I am going to write here. In sample size assignment operator, in sample size multiplied by 2. Okay, so let me actually comment out this line of code here. And as you can see here, it's going to actually return this in sample size for us. Okay, so this value would be the proper in sample size for our image. Okay, and if this method doesn't make any sense to you, okay, don't worry, you don't have to know what are these calculations, but know that this method is going to actually give us the proper in sample size that we can use on our image, okay, so that our application doesn't crash. And we have another method in Android documentation. As you can see here, we have this method, and it says to use this method, first decode with just decode bounds set to true, pass the options through, and then decode again using the new in sample size value and in just decode bounds set to false. Okay, so what is this in just decode bounds? We have it actually introduced this variable to us here, as you can see, setting the in just decode bounds property to true while decoding avoids memory allocation, returning null. Okay, so it's not going to actually assign that image to the image view if we actually assign the value true to this variable for the bitmap object, but setting out width and out height and out mime type. So this is the type of our image. And here it says that we have this method here. Okay, so let's actually copy this method here. Okay, and let's actually go to our project and let's actually paste this method here. And we have this method here. Okay, public static bitmap decode sampled bitmap from resource. Okay, so it is going to actually decode the images that are inside of our resources here, as you can see. And here we have a reference to our resources, res. We have the res ID, or the ID of our resources. We have required width and we have required height. Okay. And here, as you can see inside of this method, first decode with it in just decode bounds to true to check dimensions. So if you want to check the dimensions of your images, set this set this variable to true. Okay. Final bitmap factory.options new bitmap factory.options. So it actually created an options object, as you can see here, bitmap factory.options, and it set this in just decode bounds to true. It actually called this instance variable on this object. Okay, and then we have this bitmap factory class dot decode resource. So as you can see here, it referred to these res resources, as you can see, that we have as an argument. Okay, bitmap factory that decode resource res, and we have res ID and we have these options. Okay, so and here, as you can see, it says calculate in sample size. So options dot in sample size, here it is actually calling this method that we actually pasted here, as you can see here, calculate in sample size. So calculate in sample size options. So as you can see, it refers to this options object, as you can see here, required width and required height. Okay, so it is gonna calculate the in sample size according to our images for us. And we have this options object that in just decode bounds to false. So decode bitmap with in sample size set. So as you can see here, it says set this in sample size value to false so that we can actually output that image to the screen. Okay, and here it says return. We need to actually return an object of type bitmap, as you can see here. return bitmap factory that decode resource res. So as you can see here, it refers to these res resources, res ID and options. Okay, now let's actually go back to our getView method, and here let's actually type in img animal dot set image bitmap, as you can see here, and here we need to actually put in an object of type bitmap. Okay, so here I'm just gonna, as you can see here, this method, as you can see, is gonna return an object of type bitmap. So we can actually call this method here, as you can see inside of this parenthesis. So the name of this method is decode sampled bitmap from resource. So I can just type in decode sampled bitmap from resource, and this method is going to actually accept some arguments. Okay, so the resources is context, okay, dot get resources. So it's going to actually get the resources of our project. Here we need to put in the ID of our images inside of our application, inside of our project. So the ID is animal images sub position. As you can see here, we have these animal images, and we can actually refer to these IDs into these images by just typing animal images sub position. So as you can see here, we have this position as an argument. Okay, so we could just refer to the name of that position here. And here let's actually create a new line character so that you can see these values better. And here, as you can see, we need to actually specify the required width and the required height. Okay, as you can see inside this customized list view here, the layout width and the layout height of our image view is 100. So here inside of this parentheses, I can assign the value 50, comma 50 for the layout width and for the layout height. And now let's actually run our project and see what happens. So as you can see here, now our application is actually running on this emulator, and now you can see that we can actually scroll and we can see these images here. Okay, and now our application actually doesn't crash. Okay, it's not actually taking too much memory. Okay, but if your device has a very low memory, it's gonna actually take, and if the images are actually high quality images, they're gonna actually taking too much memory, and then your application is gonna actually crash. Okay, so make sure that you always test your applications on an actual device. Okay, and here if you want to actually your images, if you want your images to take actually less memory, you can actually assign, for example, a value for example 30 here for the layout, for the required width, and 30 for the required height. And let's actually run our project again. So as you can see, our application is running on this emulator, and you can see that we have these images here. Okay, and the quality of these images are a little bit low, but you can see that our application is not actually taking too much memory. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. And now let's actually go back inside this customized ListView.java file. And if you have any questions about these concepts that I am actually teaching you in this tutorial, please post a discussion in the course, and then I'll do my best to answer all of your questions. But for now, let's actually add in some more lines of code here. Okay, and here where we actually created these string objects, as you can see here, let's actually create another string object here. Okay, string. And the name of this object is old txt animal name value. Okay, assignment operator, and then I can just refer to the name of this txt animal name object dot get text dot to string. And here let's actually add another word here, value, and here value for the name of these other objects. Okay, so we have an old txt animal name value, we have an old txt animal power value, and we have an old txt animal speed value. Okay, so now let's actually add in some more lines of code here. So now as you can see inside this emulator, now you can see that we need to assign the name of the animal, animal power, and animal speed. Okay, so here I can just type in txt animal name dot set text old txt animal name value plus as you can see we have an array here, animal names. Okay, so we can just refer to the name of this array. Okay, and inside of this method, as you can see, animal names, okay, sub position. So as you can see, we have this position as an argument of this get view method, okay.